Thanks for sharing about your backyard, my friends. You might be wondering, why in the world are we talking about backyards? Well, that's because starting today, we get to read a really fun book called Block Party Surprise. It's all about four kids who are known as the Bradford Street Buddies, and they're going to spend some time in their own backyard. Remember, readers, when we start a new book, it's really important that we take a little bit of time to preview the book. That means to look at it a little bit ahead of time to get our brains ready for reading. If you have your copy of Block Party Surprise at home, I want you to have yours out and be exploring it along with me. If not, you can explore it on the screen. Let's take a look at the cover of our book. We already know that the title of our book is Block Party Surprise. So let's talk about what we learned. Do you know what a block party is? A block party is when the people on your block or the people in your neighborhood have a party. Usually people all come together and maybe everybody brings a food or everybody brings a game and you have a big party together that everyone helps set up for and everyone helps take part in. Well, this says block party surprise. Well, I know that a surprise is when you don't know something is going to happen and it's like, whoa, surprise! So I wonder if there's going to be some sort of surprise related to the block party that they're having. I don't know. Let's take a look at the illustration. I see four kids on this illustration. I wonder if those are going to be our main characters. And I noticed that they're standing in front of some bushes by a fence with some houses behind it. So I'm guessing that maybe this is their block or this is their neighborhood. Let's keep going. Turn the next page to the next page of your. So here's our title page. Again, Block Party Surprise. So I already talked about that, but look what I notice. I see the same four kids. I'm really starting to think that these are going to be our main characters. Turn to the next page. It's our table of contents. Remember, a table of contents tells us what the title of each of the chapters are. So let's read through the titles. The Big Day, Backyard Stomp, Let's Get Ready, and A Big Problem. Well, that's interesting. We've been talking about the structure of a story and how usually the problem happens at the beginning of a story. It looks like in this story, the problem doesn't happen until the end. Sometimes stories are structured that way. We get a lot of background information and the problem doesn't happen right at the beginning. I wonder if this is one of those types of books. Before we start reading, I want to talk a little bit about characters. You know that the characters are the people or the animals that are in the books that we read. And in this book, it's all going to be people. I've read this book ahead of time and I know that there are a lot of characters in this book. Sometimes, I don't know about you, but I have a hard time keeping track of all the different characters when there are a lot of characters in the book. So it helps me to make a list of the characters and things that I learn about them. That's not the big focus of while we're reading, but just as a way to kind of help us out. So I want to show you what I made to help us with this work. I made a T-chart and it says character on one side and what we know on the other side. As we read, I'm going to keep a list of the characters and a little bit about them to help us remember who they are. If you have your reader's notebook at home and you want to do this work with me, that would be fantastic. Okay, are you ready to get started in our new book? Here's our goal for our learning today. I can describe how characters respond to events with words, actions, and feelings. So as we read and we think about who the characters are, we're also going to be thinking about how they respond to the events. Let's get started. If you have your book at home with you, go ahead and open up to Chapter 1, The Big Day. If not, follow along on the screen while I read. Remember, we're going to keep track of our characters so that we can know who our characters are when it's time to talk about them. Here we go. Chapter 1, The Big Day. Jada Perkins was excited. She jumped out of bed. Today was the Bradford Street Fall Block Party. It was going to be a day full of friends, fun, and surprises. Readers, we already met our very first character. Can you say her name? That's right, Jada Perkins. And she's the only one in the picture, so now I know that this is Jada. on my chart, I'm going to go ahead and write her name, Jada. And I'm going to draw just a really quick sketch with her nice, pretty smile on it to remember who she is, since I don't actually have a picture of her, but that will help me remember her beautiful hair. All right, so that's Jada. I don't know a lot about her other than she is excited about the Bradford Street Fall Block Party. So I'll add to my chart as I learn more about Jada. Let's keep reading. Wake up, Jamal, Jada shouted as she passed by her twin brother's room. Carlita should be here any minute. She wants to see the big surprise Dad is bringing to the block party. Look at that, readers. We just met a new character. We met Jamal. So I'm going to add Jamal to my list. And I'll draw a quick picture of him. We also learned something new about Jada. She's a twin sister, isn't she? Because it said she passed by her twin brother's room. So now we know that Jada is the twin sister and Jamal is the twin brother. So I need to add that to my chart as well. So now I can keep track of who is who. I remember that Jada is the twin sister and Jamal is the twin brother. All right, let's find out more about this block party surprise. That's it. Today is the block party, remember Jamal? Muzzy barked and pounced on him. Josh is meeting me here too, he called back to his sister. I wonder what the big surprise will be. I do too, replied Jada. I can't believe Dad kept it a secret this long. Ooh, I'm getting excited about the surprise too. Wonder what kind of surprise you could have at the block party. Thump, thump, bump, bump. Jada and Jamal heard a noise. It thumped and bumped past the window. There it was again. Thump, thump, bump, bump. What was that? Asked Jada. Only one way to find out, answered Jamal, hopping out of bed. They raced to the window. They could not believe what they saw. Dinosaurs, they shrieked. 1, 2, 3, 4. They counted 4 robotic dinosaurs in their backyard. Mr. Perkins was tinkering with the Triceratops. Josh's dad, Mr. Cornell, was painting the tail of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Mrs. Perkins was working with the controls of the Brachiosaurus. Mrs. Garcia, Carlita's mom, was taking pictures of the Stegosaurus. How exciting! Robotic dinosaurs? Wonder what they're going to do with those. We'll keep reading to find out, but first, we've met 4 new characters we need to add to our chart. Can you name the first one we heard? Mr. Perkins, that's right. Let's add that to our chart. Mr. Perkins. Now, do we know who Mr. Perkins is? Some of you were paying close attention. At the beginning, we heard that her name was Jada Perkins. So Mr. Perkins must be Jada's dad. I'm going to write that down on my chart. Jada's dad. And I'm going to add a small picture of Mr. Perkins so that I remember who he is. I guess I could say Jada and Jamal's dad, couldn't I? Because if they're twins, that means they have the same dad. So that's how I put that. So Jada and Jamal. I'm going to add and Jamal. Who was the next character we met? That's right, Mr. Cornell. Do you remember who he is? What did it tell us? Very good, Josh's dad. We haven't met Josh yet. We just know that he is going to be Jamal's friend. And so since I know that this is Jada's dad, let me get my pointer here. This is Jada's dad. The only other man that I see in the picture is this man right here. So that must be Josh's dad. So I'm going to put a little sketch of Josh's dad on there. And then his hair kind of looks like it flies over like that a little bit. Who else did we meet? Can you say it? That's right, Mrs. Perkins. Do we know how she's connected yet? Good thinking. Mr. Perkins is Jada and Jamal's dad. Then I bet Mrs. Perkins is Jada and Jamal's mom. So I'm going to add that to the list. Jada and Jamal's mom. See what I mean? I told you there's a lot of characters. We met one more. Mrs. Garcia, that's right. And who is she? Good, Carlita's mom. Carlita's mom. And I forgot to add some sketches. So this lady looks a lot like Jada, and so that's probably going to be her mom, I would think. Plus, it says she's working the controls of the Brachiosaurus, and she's right next to that dinosaur. So I'm going to draw a picture of Mrs. Perkins. And a quick sketch of Carlita's mom, who looks like she's got her hair in a low ponytail. So that'll help me remember who that is. All right, so see, that's how I'm keeping track on my list. If you're doing this in your reader's notebook, you might need to pause right now and add your characters to the list, and then we'll get started again. Okay, ready to keep reading? I wonder how they're going to use the robots for the block party. Hi, Dad. Hi, Mom, Jamal called. What's going on down there? Asked Jada. Get dressed and come see, Mrs. Perkins shouted. Mr. Cornell waved and said, we parents can't have all the fun. That's right, laughed Mrs. Garcia. Jada and Jamal got dressed in a hurry. They zoomed out the door. Muzzy followed right along. Whew, readers, we met a lot of characters in this very first chapter. Remember, we talked about how one of the important things that happens in the structure of a story is you meet characters at the beginning, and we sure met a lot. You know, we haven't learned a ton about these characters, but we have learned a little bit about them. And I want you to think, how are these characters like you so far, just from what we've seen and heard about them? How are some of the characters different? Maybe you could think about how Jada and Jamal are connected, or you could think about their family, or you could think about maybe their home or their backyard. Head to the next Nearpod slide and talk about how these characters are like you and how they're different, and then we'll get started with our reading lesson.